Here's my 2019 Subaru Legacy 3.6R. So I'm working on trying to quiet down the interior. It's still kind of loud. I think it has a lot to do with these tires that came with the car. Just okay tires, they're just standard all-season tires, but they're very loud. And there's definitely a lot of wind noise with the car. I think it has to do with the upright profile of the car. Whatever the case, in 2018 they refreshed the car, added more sound deadening material inside, and you know, I've never driven an earlier model, but it's still not as quiet as I would like to be, so I bought some sound deadening material to help out with quieting down the cabin. So I'm gonna go look at that. Okay, so I bought some of this kill mat. It's 36 square feet of car sound deadening mat. This is what it looks like. This is pretty much what you get in the box. It's just several sheets of this kill mat product. And you know, it's 36 square feet. If you flip it over, you can see that this can just peel off, and this is the rubber material that you pretty much apply onto the car, onto any metal spots or even plastic. But yeah, this is what I've been applying to the car, and so far it seems to be working. Now, I didn't want to do anything like take out the carpet or do any uninstalling of the door panels, so I actually started doing applying some of these panels, the kill mat panels, on any exposed metal that I could find under the hood, in the wheel wells, in the trunk, and that's actually made a huge difference already. Okay, now that that's empty, let me see. Let me get my flashlight. I actually started off by doing all the exposed metal, so you know, not a ton, but you know, over here you can see some down there below, and then some over here. I actually took out the spare wheel. Let me remove this as well. I actually removed the spare wheel, and I did the whole wheel well, which you know, I did it sparingly in parts. You could probably do the whole thing, it'll be a lot better. But underneath the whole wheel, and over back here, there's some sound deadening material everywhere. You kind of really have to roll this stuff in, but even doing that little amount spread apart has seemed to work pretty well. Yeah, that's the extent of what I did in the trunk. Oh, I actually also did a little bit of the top of the trunk as well. There's some panels, and definitely around the subwoofer. Yeah. So if I had to do this again, I'd probably do a better job. I probably am going to do a better job in the trunk. I was just kind of rushing when I did it. Still made a huge difference, but I'm gonna try to do a little better and cover more of the metal areas that I missed. Okay, the next area I focused on was the doors themselves. Most doors have plenty of exposed metal that you could still do. So these doors have you know, pretty, you know, nice trim everywhere, but I really didn't want to take it apart. I've done it before on other cars, but I just didn't really want to do that. You always end up like loosening a fastener or something like that that never fits right again. So it ends up kind of messing up with the fit and trim. If you do it right, I'm sure it's fine. And I'm sure people do it all the time to replace speakers or fix the locks or whatever it may be. But every time I do it, I seem to loosen something that I don't want to loosen. So I just started doing the sides of the metal here. So over here, and then if you look below, I also added some down there. That definitely helps with the sound deadening. So I did probably 2 or 3 patches of the sound deadening material on each door. So all 4 doors have them. And then same thing here. You'll see it here. Definitely could do more. What they do recommend is doing, I don't know if you can see this, but doing the wheel wells over there. Speaking of the wheel wells, I actually did it from the outside, which is not recommended because you have to have a really clean surface to do that. So here's what I ended up doing. So you can see there's some kill mat up there. That's actually helped a lot. This is actually what I've heard make the biggest improvement. This is all plastic under here actually, and I could probably add a lot more down here. But yeah, there's kill mat up there. did the same thing over here. Where is it? It's up there. And you know, I just wiped that down, cleaned that up pretty good, and it seemed to stick pretty well. It's been on there. It's been through some 20-degree weather. It's been through 80-degree weather, and it's been perfectly fine. So that pretty much covers the trunk well, the wheel wells from the outside, the door panels from the outside without removing the door panels, the top of the trunk back here, the top of it here by the speaker. And then the last thing I did, which made the absolute biggest improvement, was under the hood. So let me pop the hood. All right. Okay. So this was actually probably easier than I expected. And this is one of those things that, again, if I had done it again, I would do a much better job of it. But I just seem to keep breaking these fasteners, and I'm not the best when it comes to this stuff. So this is what I did. So this is kind of like a felt material sound deadening panel for under the hood that already exists. If you remove these fasteners, you're actually able to remove this whole thing. There's like 9 or 10 of them here. They do break easily, so just be careful with that. But the thing kind of just folds over and it's perfectly fine. And then it's just exposed metal. So I put a whole bunch of kill mat panels under this, and just covered this because this is all hollow. Noise is able to vibrate there and carry throughout the cabin, so that actually helped a lot. And then the last thing I did was I removed the engine cover, and I think you could do that on most cars pretty easily. It just pops right off and pops back in. So this engine cover already has a whole bunch of sound deadening material on it already as well, and you can actually lift underneath the sound deadening material and kind of remove it. This has a more permanent solution, so I didn't completely remove it, but I was able to lift in areas and start putting kill mat under there, and that actually made the absolute biggest difference. So I've never driven a Subaru before I got this car, and the one thing I noticed immediately after really driving this thing is that Subarus are not the smoothest engines. I mean, this 6-cylinder is a smooth 6-cylinder, but the horizontally opposed layout of this really makes the car vibrate. It's a lot louder. It's not a quiet car by any means. So it's already struggling with the power plant in terms of noise. So this really quieted down the engine itself. And the last thing that it absolutely helped out with was the CVT. There's like, I don't know if you drive a CVT and you drive over a bump or something, as you're accelerating, you'll hear it's almost like rubber band, like shaking. I don't know how to explain it, but whatever the case, it's a really annoying sound. And this was able to get rid of all of that. I don't know what frequency, like noise that comes out at, but whatever that is, it's completely stopped by the minimal amount of kill mat I applied under the hood and this engine cover. So that's really good. And other than that, that's pretty much all I did for this car. And it's made a huge improvement. The one thing I still hear are the road noise from the tires, which has been reduced, but I think that could be fixed with a new set of tires when it's time. I would definitely replace these OEM tires. And the wind noise, which I can't fix. But overall, that's helped. So hopefully this overview helps you in doing a quick and simple sound deadening solution. Again, I highly recommend doing it the right way. But if you don't feel like taking apart your car, these little steps that I did, if you recreate them, definitely do help. And honestly, it's worth doing. And if it doesn't work, you can go further and further until you're satisfied. So yeah, that's all I got.